In the 4th chapter of the first letter of John, we find a remarkable statement. God is love. Not God loves, although that is certainly true, but that God is love itself. This is an attempt to define, as much as words allow, the mystery of God. So, the best Christian definition we have of God is the giving away of oneself for the life of another. God is love. This is why the sacrament of marriage is so special. It is certainly a great blessing for the two of you and for your family, but it is so much more. The grace of the sacrament of marriage transcends the couple because it is a sign of God's love for the world. Your giving yourselves away to each other in love is a pulling back the curtain, so to speak, to allow the world to glimpse the very heart of God. The sacrament of marriage has, like any sacrament, two parts, the formal and the spiritual. The formal part is the ceremony itself, which points to the spiritual, that is, the dispositions in your hearts and the sanctifying grace of God. The formal part is what is seen. The form of the sacrament requires your presence in a church to first answer yes or no questions as to why you are there, and then to say or assent to particular words called the vows. You then exchange blessed rings as a special sign of your decision to give yourselves away in love. Two people, typically referred to as the best man and maid of honor, are required to witness your vows. The priest or deacon receives the vows on behalf of the church. So much for the formal element. The unseen spiritual element necessary for the valid celebration of the sacrament of marriage includes 1. Faith in the God who Jesus reveals. Faith in the God who has a plan of holiness and happiness for all of us. Faith that God calls you in a particular way to find holiness and happiness in marriage. 2. The emotional and spiritual freedom to place your life and your future into another person's hands. This freedom assumes a capacity for honesty and emotional intimacy. Addictions and other psychological issues limit personal freedom. 3. Heartfelt determination to be absolutely and exclusively faithful to each other for the rest of your lives. And 4. Openness to bringing children into the circle of your love. The Church says that you have the right and responsibility to plan your family according to your emotional and financial resources. Artificial contraception is regarded as a countersign to that openness. When these conditions apply, you yourselves, not the priest or deacon, are the ministers of the sacrament. You confer the grace of the sacrament on each other by your freely giving and accepting each other in love. You are the agents of the mystery of God's power to spiritually bind you together as husband and wife. Being married and raising children is a heroically difficult responsibility. Inevitably, there will be challenges and crises. The emotional and financial stresses of being a spouse and parent can bring couples to their human limits. The sacrament of marriage is God's pledge to you to grace you with patience and strength. The sacrament of marriage celebrates your love for each other as a gift from God and dedicates your relationship in return to God. It is the solid rock foundation, as Jesus says, of a family. The entire church rejoices with you and commits herself to support you. Again, the sacrament of marriage is a grace not just for you and your family, but for the entire church, because it is a sign of God's love for the world. Your giving yourselves away for the life of a family is a pulling back the curtain so that all of us, your immediate family and members of the church, can glimpse the very heart of God. Your faces on your wedding day will be a sacramental revelation of the face of God. Here are some frequently asked questions. Question: are there other symbols besides the rings? Answer: there may be additional symbols, like a unity candle or a lasso or flowers for the Virgin Mary. As beautiful and meaningful as these might be, they are entirely optional and not necessary for the validity of the sacrament. Question: is marriage always celebrated with a Mass? Answer: not always. If one of you is not Catholic or otherwise unable to receive communion, a simple ceremony without Mass might be more appropriate. Question: does the couple need to marry civilly apart from the church service? Answer: no. They are required to obtain a marriage license from the county courthouse within 90 days of the ceremony. Immediately after the ceremony, the priest or deacon and the witnesses sign the marriage license, which the parish then mails back to the court. The court will then mail a certificate of civil marriage to the couple. Question: can a civilly married couple celebrate the sacrament of marriage even after living together for many years and having children? Answer: yes. This is called a convalidation. Question: what if one or both of us has been previously civilly married to and divorced from someone else? Can we marry in the church? Answer: yes, after any previous marriage is properly annulled if possible. Couples must share with their priest or deacon any history of previous marriages. He will explain and guide you through the appropriate process. In conclusion, the Church thanks you for taking the enormous risk that authentic love demands. Your patience and forgiveness for each other will remind all of us that God is patient and forgiving. Your support for each other in times of challenge will remind us that God is our strength. Your faithfulness to each other will be a powerful testimony that God never gives up on us. And your dreaming, planning, and sacrificing over the years will be a sacramental testimony to God's dream of love for the world and of the sacrifice of Jesus to make the dream come true.